Hey there! Welcome to Professor Purl, a YouTube channel about knitting. I'm Nicole, and this is episode 43. You can find me as Prof Purl on Instagram and Ravelry if you use either of those. And Prof Purl is short for Professor Purl, and Professor Purl, like the name of this channel, gets its name because I'm a math education professor, and I'm clearly not in the office today. That's a joke because I do call this porch, which is in the Pacific Northwest in Oregon in the United States, my second office or my third office. I really love sitting out here, particularly on a nice cool day that I can wear a sweatshirt or a sweater I've made. This is my sweatshirt I got at the Block Fiber Festival, and I love a good crew neck sweatshirt about as much as I love a hand knit sweater. I love the hand knit sweaters. I don't know, I love them both. I say I love the hand knit sweaters more, but I just don't know if it's true, if I'm being honest. I really like the sweatshirts. Anyway. Usually this is a very cozy or a tempting cozy podcast where I just traditionally talk about like what I finished, what I'm working on. And I'm going to do all that. But I usually save acquisitions for the end, but I want to start with those first. Why do I want to start with acquisitions on the episode when I normally start with other things? Because I want to. You know, it's just been busy season, and I think that's one of the reasons why I love knitting, is it helps me decompress, and all this, like the actual act of knitting helps me decompress and brings me joy and peace. But also just talking about the knitting hobby, like the things I want to knit or like the things I've recently acquired, like those also bring me joy too. I recently was in a math conference in Reno, Nevada, and I visited Jimmy Bean's Wool. I didn't buy a lot. I just bought a few things, but I want to share them because they're bringing me joy. Before I share that, I want to share a funny story. So I live in the Pacific Northwest. Specifically, I live in like wine country south of Portland, Oregon. So I always use the PDX Portland airport. It's like 40 minutes from my house to the airport, which is really, that's long, but it's not that long. And for my presentation, you know, I'm just like starting off with personal stuff. And I usually say this for the end, but here we go. For my presentation, this might surprise people, but whenever I have a presentation, I usually like do the slides, like my PowerPoint slides, like on the plane. It's like a good use of time. So anyway, I'm on the plane and I'm like, just starting my presentation slides. And I'm like, barely into working on it, and they're like, pack up your laptops, we're landing. I'm like, this flight was only like an hour, so apparently Portland is just an hour flight from Reno. Now retrospectively, I like looked at the map and I was like, yeah, that makes sense. But at the time I was like, I thought I was going so far, and I think it's because I grew up in the Midwest, and like Reno, Nevada is very far from Illinois. I don't know, I just really didn't think about it. Apparently Reno is very close. And I love to hike and I love the outdoors. So like Lake Tahoe, I should have done Lake Tahoe. But in reality, I spent all of my time in the Atlantis casino. And I'm not a gambler and whatever. So it wasn't like that wasn't a very enjoyable space for me. But my flight was in the evening and my conference ended at like noon or 2 or something. And I'm one of those people who goes to every single session and fully participates. So I was doing that. And then I had a little bit of space of time. And so I asked on Instagram, like, hey, do you have any suggestions? And people suggested Jimmy Bean's Wool. And what was so funny to me is I did know that like the headquarters, the store for Jimmy Bean's Wool is in Nevada, like Reno. Like I did know that. And actually, Jimmy Bean's Wool is something I'm like a little nostalgic about because there was like an era where I was like very into knitting, but not like patterns. And this is like before social media. Maybe social media existed, but I didn't use it. I don't even think I had a Facebook page, like, or an maybe Instagram was around. I don't know, but I feel like 2010, 2011, I was just like very into like knitting hats and cowls, and it brought me so much joy. I didn't use a local yarn store. I like didn't ever go to a local yarn store. I think like, yeah, I just primarily ordered from Jimmy Bean's Wool. And then my friend Kelly had opened up a yarn store in Morris, Illinois, and like I started going there, and that kind of like opened the floodgates. But like Jimmy Bean's Wool is like one of the very first stores I bought yarn from. So I purchased from them a lot in that like season of my life. When I lived in Illinois, I didn't have as many local yarn stores as I have where I live now. And so anyway, it was just really special to go to Jimmy Bean's Wool. Hopefully I will put in some video footage here or a picture or something. And so I knew I wanted to go, but like I didn't want to buy a ton of yarn for a couple of reasons. One is I'm a passionate carry-on traveler. So if I'm traveling by myself without my family, Kyle and Matilda, I like carry-on luggage. I'm not checking anything. And I've done that before, then I mail my like large yarn purchase home. But I also didn't want to buy a lot of yarn because I just recently went to Flock. And then in November, I'm going to Sacred Sheep Festival here in Portland. And so I just wanted to get something special, but not a lot. So I only have a few treasures to share, and I'm excited to show them. Okay. I bought a skein of DK weight yarn to make socks. Now, I was not planning on buying sock yarn. I don't even really think I need sock yarn, but I couldn't say no to this. I could also make a hat out of it, but I'll tell you my plan with socks. Look at this. Okay. The color is pretty accurate. I would say it is more stunning in person because in person, there's like these little orange flecks, which I think you can see in the camera, yellowish, golden orange, but they like glow in person. Like actually I should take a black light to it. It feels like the kind of yarn that if you put a black light to it, like these like orange speckles would just like pop. Okay. So it is 75% merino, 25% nylon, even though it's DK. The brand is Teal Torch Knits, which dyed in Portland, Oregon. So I sent my mom a picture of this yarn because I was so excited about it. And she was like, hilarious that you had to go to Reno to get yarn dyed in Portland, which is like right next to me. So yeah, I want to knit a pair of Selena socks. So Selena socks is a pattern by me, and I've knit it once, like to design the socks, and hosted like a test knit, which felt like the Knitalong. But I've been watching Rose Opal Knits, and Daphne, Erica of Rose Opal Knits is knitting a pair of these socks. There was Selena socks. But Daphne, I think, has knit like 12 or 13 pairs of the Selena socks, like way more than I've knit, and it's a big pattern. And so it's just funny because I wrote the pattern. But when I watch Daphne show her socks, it makes me want a pair. And I have a pair. And I can't get it out of my head, so I want to knit a pair of Selena socks in this color. And they have a DK weight sock knit along going, and I probably won't finish a pair for their make along or their knit along. I just like wanted to be part of it, and so they have a Discord server. Like if you go to their YouTube channel and click in the description bar, they have a Discord server, and I don't know, I just thought it would be fun to be part of it. So that I got. But there's a little part of me that thinks maybe this should be a hat because I got these really cool things at Jimmy Bean's Wool. They're these little flat beads. And I was imagining like sewing these onto like a hat. That'd be so cool. But here's the deal. I picked a color that's kind of neutral iridescent so that if I don't use this as a hat, I could put this on any kind of hat. But anyway, I'm thinking about making a design like a floral kind of motif out of these like on a hat. I think that'd be so cool. So that was cool. And then I couldn't say no to these stitch markers. I love stitch markers. This is Hello Kim, and they're gold, and they're boba tea, and I love boba tea. I was thinking, I actually met somebody at this conference who lives in Oregon, and I met her just recently at a different math conference, the Mathematical Association of America, Pacific Northwest chapter, and so we went to a winery together out here in Oregon, and then she was at this conference too, and it turns out she was a knitter, and we went, and I was thinking, there's so many of these, I should have like offered to like buy it and split it. I think that would be so fun to do with a friend, like go to a knitting store and buy a pack of stitch markers and maybe share some of them, because sometimes you don't need all of them, you just need like a beginning of round. So cute. All right, then the other little thing I got is this sticker sheet. I use stickers in a planner. I'm a paper planner person, and this says sweater weather, and it has all the things I love, like it says a candle says cozy season, and there's like a cup of coffee and a sweater and a tea kettle and a hat and mushrooms. Like it just, and I loved it so much that I bought a second one, because as part of this channel on Instagram and on Ravelry, I'm hosting a Love Note Love Knit-along, and so I just thought this would be like a little cute prize to tuck in. I don't really know what my prizes are yet, but I just thought that I wanted to share this with somebody here on the channel. One last thing from Jimmy Beans. Okay. Brand is Lemon Wood, and Jimmy Beans Wool had a lot of these different kinds. And it comes with the directions on how to put it together. But essentially, it's a thing to carry your yarn. I think this summer, or spring, or recently, I'm losing track of time, I saw that Maddie from the We Share Needles podcast had one of these. It might even be the same brand. It might not be. I don't know. But cute, right? And you put your yarn on it. This will hook through. I should have had it set up before I got here. Oh, look, I'm just setting it up in front of you, and it was very easy. And this leather is super soft. I picked this one that had the motif of like I don't know if these are dandelions. I just really love this, and this was my main purchase. Though, I don't know, I just got lots of like little things that I just love, and just, I didn't like being away from my family. I'll share more about that in personal life, but essentially, I was away from my family. Kyle and Matilda were back here, and then as soon as I flew home, Kyle had to fly out for work to the Philippines. So he is in the Philippines right now. And I don't know, it was nice to have like a bright spot, to like have a new friend and go to a yarn store and think about cozy things. Okay, one last acquisition that is not from Jimmy Beans Wool. I am a subscriber to the Arkansas Yarn Company Sock Society box, and last year in November or October, one of the years or one of the months, they did a box that was like a whole kit to make a hat. So it came with the yarn, and you held it double, it came with the pattern, it came with the pom-pom, it came with this little tag. And this is a color that was outside my comfort zone, but I loved that the whole box was a kit that I knitted up immediately. And then obviously holding fingering weight double makes a thicker yarn, like about a DK weight. And so this hat went very fast. And I ended up wearing it quite a bit, even though it's a color that, like if I was out shopping, I wouldn't buy orange yarn. That's just not normally my thing. But I really loved it. So that was last year. One of the cozy months, one of the burr months was this. And they did a kind of hat kit again. It's got a totally different look, and I love it, so I'm excited to show you. Okay, look at this. Now I switched bases, so when I knit that, I got the Yummy Plush, which is not a sparkle base. And I don't know if you can see, but it's sparkle. It's gray with a little bit of white space, and then these pinks with like purple flecks. And it has the label, the name is Only Sweetly Creepy, which is so cute. And so I think you hold this yarn double again to make a hat, because let's see here. So it also came with a pom-pom again. That's gonna look so good. And then it came with another little tag, just like gray, so cute. Yeah, and then there's this button to put at the bottom of the pom-pom, because it helps stabilize your pom-pom if you do that. And my personal favorite is the pink, look, a pink pumpkin stitch marker to go with this. And look at the graphics here. It says everything you have. And it comes with the pattern. Let me cover up the pattern a bit. So the pattern looks like there's some baubles and some eyelets. I don't really think it's a pattern that I would like go out and like download and buy. Just like orange yarn isn't something I would pick out. But I'm just going to use this as an opportunity to do it, because I think it's cute. My mom also gets this box, and she's already wound up the yarn, already knit the whole hat. It looks very cute, so I'm going to do that too. I haven't even put it away because I want to just wind it up and do this. When you see the amounts of works in progress I have, you might think that that's crazy that I'm going to do that, but I'm going to do that because it's spooky season. It's only sweetly creepy. It's getting cool out. I'm just gonna cast on a hat. It's gonna be great. And I might cast on some socks. It's gonna be great. So yeah, that's the theme. I just want to cast on everything. That's the theme. So it's probably good to head on into whips now. Okay, I'm gonna show you 3 whips. I love all 3, so to order them would be impossible. So I think I'm just gonna go in chronological order of like how long I've been working on it. So I will start with the thing that is most recent. That's what I'll do. I feel like casting on everything. I feel like using all my Halloween bags, all my Halloween yarn. And so because we have a love note, love Nictalong, you might think, oh, is your love note in there? Did you cast on a spooky love note? No, I just started a whole different project. I think last episode I showed my bundle of spooky yarn. It's called Scream Queen set from Fangirl Fibers. It was like a main pink color and then like spooky colors. This was the main pink color. And I'm gonna knit a cowl. Who am I with all this like accessory cowl knitting? Like, I'm a sweater knitter. Like, I love knitting sweaters. That's what I'm here for, garment knitting. And I'm just accessories. I just did a cowl like last episode too. Just want to do another one. Let's do it the heart wants. So what I'm using is this Doodler pack. I think I've mentioned this, that Pacific Knit Co. sells these doodle packs. I'm obsessed. I wish I could take it out and show you, but I don't want to do that because that would be like she sells these and they're the charts. But the charts in here are so good. Just imagine the cutest color work motifs that are pumpkins and bats and ghosts and just cups of cozy, like imagine it being like hot cocoa or coffee. It's so good. You're gonna see it soon because I will knit it, but I'm here. And I'm just feeling like all the spooky things. I love fall. I love the spooky season. So I had to use this. I've had this for a long time. I think this is from Suker Miniatures. It's like a little jack-o'-lantern that you can imagine carrying around for trick-or-treating. And there's like a little chocolate frog here. And it's so cute. I love it. Let me show you the minis that I'm going to use. So I was thinking last night, I was playing with it last night. I just cast this on last night. I was thinking like, okay, I should plan this all out. And I had the color, part of the fun of the doodler is just playing with the color charts and the colors, and I was trying to plan it out, and I thought, you know what, I'm just not going to stress about this, planning it out. I'm just going to like, just go with it with no plan, which could be actually kind of terrible, but I was thinking about like the notion of doodling. Like, you don't really sit around and think exactly how you're going to doodle. You just doodle, and it becomes beautiful. And so that is the philosophy I'm taking here. Can you, I mean, just look at those. They're so good. And it was like, I don't remember the maker of this bag, but I purchased this bag from the Knitting Cup in Texas when I went to visit my friend Brenda a couple years ago when I first started the channel. And I actually have an interview with the owner of the Knitting Cup. It was some of my first videos that I made on the channel. So, not very far. It does come with 2 different patterns in that doodler pack from Pacific Knit Co. And the pattern I'm doing is just like a standard cowl, not an infinity cowl. And the pattern suggests doing a 1x1 rib, but I'm doing 2x2 rib just because I enjoy knitting that more, and this is just supposed to be fun, and I just wanted to enjoy it. And I just wasn't going to enjoy 1x1 rib last night, so I'm so excited for the color work aspect of that. And so that's that. So yeah, I guess like one of the things I would love to know from you is like, are there things you're looking forward to with fall? Like for me, it's like this cozy weather is making me want to knit accessories like hats and cowls. Of course, sweater knitting too. I just wanting to cast on all the things, and there's so much I'm looking forward to with fall, like embracing the sweaters on the porch here, knitting accessories, I don't know, like pumpkin spice lattes, all of it. Just, I would love to know, like, if you live in the northern hemisphere and enjoying fall, like what you're enjoying. Okay, so my next, working backwards chronologically, the next cast on I had again, is it a love note? The love note, love knit along on this channel. It is not a love note. It is a shawl design, and of course I don't have I have a finished shawl that I knit. I used to write the pattern, and that is completed. And I actually wore it yesterday. Maybe I'll pop in a photo if I can remember. And I really just knit that at the beginning of the school year, and it was just very cozy and a very therapeutic knit, like very rhythmic. And so I knew I wanted to knit another one, and so I decided I would knit another one during the test knit. And the yarn I'm using, both the original sample and this one, is from Chelsea Luxe, which I'm a huge fan of. And this colorway is So Rouge from Chelsea Luxe. Let me show it. So, in a slub and a fingering. And so I wanted to, with the shawl, make something that would use up all the fingering yarn so that there was no waste, no leftovers. There will be a little bit of this. Now when you use ball yarn, that could sound really stressful, like, oh, I'm going to run out of yarn, I'm going to play yarn chicken. So I wanted to design something that would use up all the yarn but not be stressful. I think I did that. Let's knit on the bias. So you start here at this corner and you work your way out. And this design is slightly modified from the first one I did because basically I wanted to make it perfectly as perfectly symmetrical as I could on this side versus this side. So I did a little tweak to my original one, but it's basically the same pattern. And so I'm only halfway. This actually makes it quite a substantial shawl because though this is one skein of fingering, you're holding it with mohair, so you're creating a thicker yarn. And then the love note was a little bit of an inspiration to this because the love note, I feel like a little bit of yarn goes a long way and it has beautiful drape because of the gauge it's knit at. So I use the gauge of the Love Note, like that drapiness as sort of the inspiration here for this. I mean, it's not a sweater like the Love Note, but it's a similar large gauge. And the Love Note stockinette, and this is like a shawl discarder, but but I would say the Love Note was a little bit of an inspiration here with the drapiness and the large gauge. So I've just been enjoying this. This is like, pink is my favorite color, if you can't tell. Like literally my acquisition was pink. Cast on something pink. This is also pink in its own way. This is my autumnal pink. It's basically a neutral. Like I feel like it's like this is a neutral really, and it's so good. And I just, can you tell I'm loving the cozy and the spooky things? Look at that cute stitch marker. I had to buy a new stitch marker that was spooky. This is a ghost, and it's holding like a sign that says eek. It's just so cute. The testing is going very, very smooth for this. Actually much smoother than I could have anticipated. Like, so my hope is to get this out early November. So the only way this wouldn't come out early November is me, because the testers, it's going so smooth. Some of my testers are already on their second one. But I want my finished object photos for the pattern to be in this yarn. And so I need to finish this, block it, and take pictures. And I'd also like to maybe mail this out to Christina at Chelsea Luxe for her to take some photos of too. So that means I really need to wrap this up kind of soon, which is pretty possible. I counted how many sections I've done. I've done 8 sections in between these eyelets. And so on my other one, and I love the size of that, I did 11.5 sections. So I'm moving along here. This is great TV knitting, great like running around to swim practice and dance lessons with Matilda knitting. It's great meeting knitting. It's just been so comforting. Oh, the name of it. I have to tell you the name of it. So I knew that I knitted it for comfort. So I should have thought to use the name Comfort, but I didn't. I didn't think of it at all. My friend Melissa from Stitches Bee Slip In, she asked if she could test it, and I was like, of course. Like, I feel like Melissa and I are like, could be sisters or something. Like, we have so much in common, I feel like, and I love her. And yeah, so I was like, yeah. And she wanted to knit it before the Stephen West Mystery Knit-Along started. And so I was like, I'll give you the beta version before I send out to testers. So she tested it before the testers tested it, which is actually really fun. It's pretty cool to do that. So anyway, she knit it before the test even started. And she was so cute. She messaged me and she's like, I don't want to overstep here. So if you don't want me to tell you a name for this, I won't. She's like, but I do have a name idea. And I was like really stumped. So I was like, please tell me a name. And so she suggested Comfort Zone. And the second that she suggested Comfort Zone as a name for it, I knew that was like the name of this, because I feel like Comfort Zone's so appropriate for so many ways. Like, not just this project, but just like knitting in general. It can be our comfort zone, our space where we find peace and joy. And like, Shawl could not be like more timely for me in my life, and like describing like how I'm feeling about this project and just knitting in general. And so I'm just so thankful. And this has been comforting for me. Like, this is my second one, and I'm enjoying it just as much as the first. And I actually think I might cast on a third. I have some kind of spooky fingering and mohair. We'll see. I want to cast on so much, but I wouldn't mind knitting another one, like a third one, in maybe a not slub yarn, because I've done slub fingering and mohair for 2. So I was thinking for my third one, I'd maybe not do that. The testers have used all kinds of things: DK, fingering and mohair, fingering and Surrey. So it's a pretty flexible pattern. But that's making me think about like, what are your comfort knits? Like, I know for some people it's musselburghs, for some people it's socks. Like, I just would love to know, like, obviously all of our knitting can be comforting, but like, what are those comfort projects, and like, why are they your comfort projects? I think that's something I'm really interested in hearing about. Who I am at my core, like, is a sweater knitter. I literally love sweater knitting so much. So of course there's a sweater on the needles that I'm working on. This is actually in my Portland leather bag. I think this is, Portland leather is not a knitting company, friends. It is just a leather company, but you can buy their bags and they can be knitting bags. And this is like there's like, look at all these. There's like this thing here. I mean, all kinds of things that make this a good knitting bag. Okay, it's holding my beautiful sweater that I'm in, like the easy knitting. Actually, like, it's so funny. I think that's why I'm so excited about my Halloween colorwork cowl. Is once I get past the yoke of a sweater, I struggle because it's like just the easy knitting. Like that's just like the round and round. Okay, so the last time I recorded, this is where I was. There's my really cool stitch marker from Hello Lavender. And so since I last recorded, I've knit my sweater, finished the whole yoke, so you can see this beautiful motif here. And I switched, I like split for sleeves, so that's really exciting. And it just, I feel like the sweater comes alive when you split for sleeves. It becomes a sweater, and it was always a sweater from the moment you cast it on, but when you split for sleeves is when it's like, it just feels like it's born, the sweater. I love it. You can try it on then. You can always try it on before you split for sleeves, but there's something special about like having armholes. Okay, so some details. This is my thumbnail, like holding this up last episode, and I just feel like it might be again because I just think it's so beautiful. So the sweater is the Milkweed DK. There's a Milkweed fingering. I'm knitting the Milkweed DK, and I'm using DK yarn from Explore Knits and Fibers in the Sequim, which is a beautiful location in Washington. So yeah, so that's the colorway. It's like a lavender gray. And then this fuzzy yarn here is Fuwa from Moondrake. So the base Fuwa, which is 70% brushed cashmere, and I think the other 30% is merino. I'm not exactly sure. I don't have the label with me. I do not have the label with me. So I held Fuwa double. And I didn't think about it until recently. Like when I guess I didn't think about it, but like that's cashmere on the inside. So I'm gonna feel that cashmere. Cashmere is very warm. Have you knit with cashmere? It's so warm. So I was just thinking like this sweater is gonna be pretty warm. At least in the colorwork spot. I dropped some stitches. I was picking them up. Anyway, there's not much to say about it other than it's amazing, this sweater. I just love the colors and I love the motif. I need to work on it because I would like to finish this by the first weekend in November. The first weekend in November is the Sacred Sheep. Now, I'm pretty sure Caitlin Hunter is going to be there, and so is Native Knitter, who are also colorwork designers. And so part of me is like, should I cast on another sweater? Knit one of those? And I've knit a lot of Caitlin Hunter sweaters, so like, I feel like conflicted, like I want to wear a Caitlin Hunter sweater at some point at Sacred Sheep. However, this is really special because my friend Emily is also going to be at Sacred Sheep. And we are, I really don't know the details. I don't know if I'm picking her up. I should this is a message her directly, don't put it on my YouTube channel moment, but we're going together. We're gonna hang out. I just don't know the details. Like, am I picking her up? But anyway, I'm being so weird. Anyway, she's knitting Milkweed. Hers is gorgeous. She's knitting it out of Lila Bean Yarn Company as the main, which is like leaf voter suppression behind the colorway. It's like a pun on autumnal and voter things, which is so appropriate for her. And then her contrast is in the colorway Linen, by Explorer Knits and Fibers. So, I mean, hers is very autumnal and gorgeous. And mine is pretty in its own way too. And I just think it's funny because our sweaters look just so different from each other. But that's like, isn't that the cool thing about knitting? We can take the same pattern and just make it look so different on our different tastes and color and types of yarn we use and the modifications we make, because mine might have to be short sleeve. Although I'm thinking, based on the amount of yarn that the pattern says I need, I thought there's no way I'm going to get long sleeves out of this. However, I have 4 skeins of yarn. This is a lot of yarn, and this is my second yarn. This is only my second ball, and I'm already on the body. So I could be off, but I feel like I will use this whole skein to finish the body. Maybe break into the third one for the rest of the body. But it still leaves me a 4th one for the sleeves. So I could just do plain short sleeves, but I could maybe do longer, I'm thinking. But that's not what the pattern says. It says I need a lot more yardage than that. So I'm thinking maybe I'm off because I knit so many crop sweaters and this is not a crop sweater, that maybe I'm like not accounting for the amount of not cropness going on. Anyway, so once I get past the color work though on a sweater, it goes so slow, which is I think why I cast on this doodler, this Halloween doodler thing, because once I get 1.5 inches of ribbing, I can start doing color work, and I just love color work so much. And then it's spooky season, so I'm gonna be doing like, I don't know exactly the motifs I'm gonna do, but I'm gonna do like maybe a cup of coffee, maybe a pumpkin, maybe some moons, maybe more than one pumpkin. Part of me thought I could do all pumpkins. That would be kind of cute. Anyway, are you knitting something spooky themed? Are you knitting something Halloween? Are you knitting with Halloween yarn? Are you knitting something spooky? Let me know. Oh, also, if you're going to Sacred Sheep, let me know. I would love to see you. Okay, we are to the dream knitting section, and this is when I'm going to talk about the Love Note. The Love Note Love 3rd annual Knitalong kicked off on October 1st. And I remember when I planned it, thought that was a great idea. But on October 1st, I flew out of Portland airport like bright and early in the morning, at like 8:30 in the morning. And I don't know about you, but I just don't like casting on a trip, casting something on while I'm traveling. So I was like, okay, I will cast this on when I get back. And so to celebrate, I made a Love Note Love video. So there's a video on the channel of like all the different love notes I've made and the story about that. I'll link it below if you're interested. So essentially, like, I thought, okay, I'll make a video. I can do that to celebrate the beginning of it, and then I will cast it on as soon as I get back. That's not what happened though, because life. I flew back, and my husband Kyle like left the country like for work, and so basically I am like single, like parenting, doing life, working, all that, and in the evening I've just been like, So I finally, last night or the night before, wound my yarn up just now. So it's dream knitting. So I thought I'd show you my yarn and my plan. Also, I ordered mohair and it arrived just like a day before I left too. So just a delayed start to my own knit along. It's okay. I had a little guilt around it, but it's okay. So I think I've mentioned I get the Arkansas Yarn Company Sock Society box, and I'm gaining quite the collection of these yarns that I haven't knit. Some of them I have, but a lot of them I haven't. And so one of them is called Make My Heart Flutter, and it's white with like lots of kind of rainbow flecks. And then the other one, one of the ones was called How Sweet It Is. And I was looking at them, and this was from a while ago because this is not a sparkle base, and I get a sparkle base now. And I thought, wow, these are really similar like values of color, like a lot of white space and then some colors. Like in the camera there, they almost look the same really, and this is just slightly darker. In person, they do look different. Oh. There you go, if you can see that they are different. There we go. but they are close enough in the best way. Because imagine fading from this to this with some white mohair. Now, seeing this in the camera, I'm a little nervous because this white is quite different from this like kind of creamy color. But I'm gonna do it, and we're gonna see how it's gonna work out. And it might look really good, I might not like it. I don't know. So my thought is to fade from the most colorful skein down to the least colorful skein and hold mohair, white mohair with it. So like a white love note with a little bit of pizzazz. So that's my dream knitting. I want to cast that on. You're probably sensing a theme here. I want to cast that on. I want to cast everything on. So I just thought it would be fun to do a little love note love giveaway. So I've made these very fun. Well, I think they're very fun. They're resin and they're glittery. They look big, so they're stitch markers. I love these kind of levers that are bigger than the lobster clasp. So a pink one and a light blue one with sparkle. So they look big, like they wouldn't be like the best stitch markers, but they are because they're resin, so they're super lightweight. Like they're lighter than every stitch marker I'm using right now because of just the material. So I thought that I would do this as like a surprise little giveaway for somebody who's participating in the Love Note Love Nicole. If you're a viewer of this YouTube channel and you're watching this right now and you're participating in the Love Note Love Nicole, you're extra special to me. And so all you need to do to enter to win these that I've made, just make a comment below and put like something about Love Note in your comment. So if your comment has Love Note in it, then I will take that as a you want to be entered to win this. So basically, like, you just need to say like, I haven't cast my love note on like you yet, but I want to, or here's the yarn I'm using, or like I'm modifying mine in this way, just whatever. Let me know how you're participating, even if it's just hopeful participating. Okay, I think we're ready to move on to personal life. To the personal section of the episode. So from this point forward, there is no more knitting. I think I've mentioned it's been really busy, like everybody. It's we all have our things, and so there's seasons. Sometimes there's lots of time for reading and sometimes there's not. And so I've been reading a lot less because just the season I'm in, I have a lot of big projects due. I have a grant I'm turning in the first week of November, so I'm writing a lot for my grant. I'm also currently writing a book right now on mathematical mistakes, and I'm in the process of working with my developing editor, but the like big draft, like the, I won't say final draft, but the draft that like moves beyond this editor to like the next stage of editing, that is due also the first week of November. And wait, there's more. I decided that at my university we have like a study abroad program, and you can like plan trips. I decided that I want to plan an Iceland and Sweden study abroad trip, and the proposals for that are due. You got it, the first week in November. So I've been like writing a lot and reading things related to those projects, but not like recreationally as much. However, I did finish reading Fairy Tale, which I mentioned, I think the last episode, that I got Fairy Tale by Stephen King the second time from the library. So I checked out this summer, ran out of time, returned it, got it back, had to get into it, and I finished reading it, and I love it so much. It is one of those books that I want to reread. I think we probably all have books like that we're like, oh, just once wasn't enough. I'm gonna need to reread that. It was so good. I just really, really enjoyed Fairy Tale by Stephen King. I love fantasy, I love fairy tales. And Stephen King is a genius, so he just, he writes in just a very complex way with like lots of really cool things that you don't expect, like unexpected things. And anyway, I've just gone on and on about it several times in this channel, so I'll stop, but loved Fairy Tale. Then I started reading Fourth Wing. because it's all over the internet. Everybody's like, I feel like everybody's read Fourth Wing. That's not true, but like it's a popular book on the internet. And then my librarian recommended it to me, and so I was like, I need to read this. And I was waiting for it for a long time for my library, and I finally got it. And I feel like the timing is so good because it seems like the second book will be coming out soon. So I don't know. I probably should pre-order it because I'm sure the wait at the library, my library, will be really, really long, and I'm like really enjoying this. Okay, Fourth Wing. You've probably heard about it, but the quick story about it is kind of like, imagine like a military school, but for people that are going to be dragon riders. It's so good. I mean, who doesn't love dragons? Oh, that reminds me, I also joined a book club. Speaking of dragons and dragon slaying, there's no dragon slaying in Fourth Wing yet, just kidding. But there's dragon slaying in Beowulf, and so I joined a book club at Matilda's school to read Beowulf. So, started that. So that's what I'm reading. Not finished reading any of those things, but what I am reading. Before I left for Reno, we went to the Rice Museum of Minerals and Rocks. It is one of my favorite museums in Oregon. We are Oregon Zoo members, and they have a rotating membership, like a reciprocal membership, so you can use your Oregon Zoo membership to get into other museums. So September was the Rice Museum of Minerals and Rocks, and so I've gone before using our free entry in September. We almost missed it. I think we went the very last day of September. And I love it so much, and Matilda's too. I mean, I think little kids just like love like dinosaurs, fossils, rocks. Yeah, there's dinosaur stuff there. The day we went, there was a scientist there with a microscope and some really neat things. And so it's just always a good time. And we learned like what the difference between a geode and a thunder egg is. A thunder egg is Oregon's state rock. There was a scavenger hunt. So good. So it was a nice kind of special family time before I left. And then I knew that October we would all be kind of split up a bit, like not being able to spend time with each other as much because of work. And so I really embraced that sort of like last family thing before we had like a lot of work things to keep us separate from each other. So yeah, Cow's gone. So I feel like Oregon is the best month to live in the Pacific Northwest. I mean, it's probably that way everywhere. You probably feel that way where you live too for October. But I feel like when I lived in the Midwest in October, it would get cold, like very, very, very cold. And like it does get cold in Oregon in October, but just not the same kind of cold. Like it's the kind of cold where you can like still go out in a sweatshirt or a sweater only and feel okay. And are still some warm days. Not this week, not the end of this week, but like a big chunk of last year's October was like hot, like just really, really hot. And that's sort of how this weekend was. It was really bright and sunny and warm, like in the 80s Fahrenheit. And so Matilda and I went to a pumpkin patch. And I had only intended for us to go for a couple of hours because I needed to get home and like get ready for the week, do the kind of like life things, like pack lunches, clean the house, like grade life. But Matilda and I were just like having so much fun together, like girls time. And so I think we spent 5 hours at the pumpkin patch. 5 hours. That's a lot. We spent a long time. And I only bought a couple pumpkins, like one little tiny one and one kind of medium-sized one, because I was like thinking I want to go back to another pumpkin patch when Kyle gets back, so like we can do it as a family. And I was thinking we could get a big one then to carve. So hopefully that happens. I'm like, a little part of me is like, what was I thinking? I should have just bought my pumpkins. I should have just bought all my pumpkins this weekend when I was at a pumpkin patch for 5 hours, but that's not what I did. There's these like slides that in rafts you could go down. There was like a play structure. There was a hayride. There's these kind of like bounce houses that Matilda just loved, and like they had this giant jack-o'-lantern jumping thing you could jump on. It was so good. So of course we miss Kyle, but we're making the best of it, the two of us having fun together. And sort of like my like toxic trait when Kyle's gone is that I stay up very, very late. Like if Kyle's home, like I feel motivated to go to bed when he goes to bed, so I go to bed at like a normal time, like 10 p.m., 10:30. Since he's been gone, like I'm like, like last night I stayed up till like 12:30 a.m. Why would I have to get up early the next day? Like, and it's like I'm just like having too much fun knitting and watching movies. Yeah, so that's what I've been doing since Kyle's been gone. Matilda will go to bed, and then I will be like, let me watch the new Haunted Mansion movie. And last night, Matilda went to bed, and I watched the new like Peter Pan movie. Like, so anyway, I am still having fun, even though it's a really busy season. So anyway, I'd love to know what you're doing this fall, like if you're going to pumpkin patches or whatever. And if you live in the southern hemisphere, you're probably not going to pumpkin patches, and I'm so sorry. But I hope you're enjoying your spring and your summer. Anyway, I really appreciate you being here. Thanks so much for being my knitting friend, and I'll see you soon. Bye.